Welcome back, everybody. It is me. It is the Cyber Warrior. This is Cyber Warrior Studios, and I know you are all here for another amazing episode of what? Security Happy Hour. That's right. And look, I got a big show planned. I didn't have any guests lined up, so if you want to be part of the show, my backstage crew, who's going to come on here in a second, will be happy to share that link with you, and you are more than welcome to come on. But we are going to be talking mental health in cybersecurity today. So if you bear with me for about 10 seconds, I promise it's going to be an amazing show. I'll be right back. And I'm back. And with me, I have, again, my backstage crew, the one and only Devin. Devin, thank you for joining us. And you were here when I did my State of the Union type of deal, which was just us bullshitting, let's be honest. That's really all it ended up being. But today, look, I want to talk mental health and cybersecurity, and anybody that wants to come on, by all means, we can put the link in YouTube. You're more than welcome to join. I've got no problem with that. I know a lot of people are losing jobs. A lot of people are getting jobs, whatever the case may be. People are studying, a lot of things going on, but you're more than welcome to join if you want to. So please let us know in the chat. Otherwise, man, what a hellacious week and few months it's been for me. Devin, I'm sure it's been hard on you and so many other people. So I guess my primary question to you, and I'll answer it as well, but you first and foremost, what have you been doing to maintain your mental health?
Man, getting away, kind of getting out, get yourself away from whatever the issue is that's going on there. Take your mind off of it, spend time with family, go out and do stuff that you enjoy, go fishing. Coming up on summer, I love to get on my boat. Getting that ready, just looking forward to those type of things. Anything to do. I think what happens a lot of times is whatever the issue is in life, whatever's bothering us, whatever it may be, there's tons of things out there. That's constantly all we think about. And again, doing stuff isn't always the easiest thing to take your mind off of it, but just trying to find that. And sometimes it takes time to find your getaway, your seclusion, something that you can revert to get yourself away from it. I think that's the biggest thing, is just finding something that you love and enjoy, going out, doing it, and knowing when to get away as well, and not let yourself get too far down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the biggest thing, and it's funny. Evening, Misha, Anonymous, Griffin InfoSec, everybody else is in the chats and watching online. He says, go outside and touch the green stuff. It's a common saying right now. I've seen it online. I've seen it in social media, TikTok, you name it. I've seen it all over the place. Go outside and touch grass. Now, sometimes it's used in a way that is more, I'd say, malicious in nature, of people trying to consume things that are poisoning their mind. But I'm going to say it in such a way that it is true and honorable, and that we spend so much of our time consumed by technology, whether it be computers or TVs or phones or whatever the case may be, that we don't always go outside and touch grass. And look, I've had these conversations, me especially, who believes in the power of nature and what grounding yourself and things like that can do. Even for me, it's hard to even go out barefoot. Like, half the time you see me walking around my house, and my wife yells at me all the time, in shoes. I will wear shoes and socks everywhere. And my wife's like, take your damn shoes off. And I'm like, yeah, I probably should, but I got to be ready for anything. So, if you're like, hey, can you go here? I'm just out the door. I ain't even got to wait. But the reality of this situation is we really do got to start getting outside, getting back to nature, and really touching grass. I don't care if you're camping. I don't care if you're just sitting outside by fire. I don't care if you're just laying in the grass. I don't care what you're doing. But put your phone down, put it away. Turn off the TV, turn off the computers, turn off everything, and just be part of the world. And I think if more of us did that, we would find that mentally we're better. But the problem is, and I think this is where a lot of the mental health issues come into play, we're so consumed by and have to be responsible for that incident response, that incident handling, that what came up, what's going on. What's, I got to always know. I got to know. And I think that getting away is so much more important than always being consumed by it.
Yeah. And I'm fortunate enough to have a bunch of property and actually live on it. So, it's nice. If something's going on at work, I'm just on my lunch break or whatever, take off, go for a walk across my property and go over to the pond or whatever. So it's nice having that. But it doesn't have to be something like that. It could just be going to the park, walking around the park, getting out into your local, state ground, whatever it may be, to get out. I think it's important though, like you said, when we come to this, is like getting as far away from the action, and not only with the work, but like away from the city too. Get out there where it's quiet, where you don't have all the distractions, you don't have other people that you're bumping into, so you can really get away from everything, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and so we all fall victim to it. Well, I can't say we all. I don't have a mouse in my pocket, but in the past, I have fallen victim to, even when I'm not working, I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, my mind is not present. It is not there with family. And again, even when I'm not outside, if I'm sitting there watching wrestling with the family or football or just TV in general, or playing video games with the kids, I have fallen victim to checking my phone, checking notifications,
Mm-hmm.
making sure nothing's going on at work. And unfortunately for me, that came from my military time, because when you're on duty 24/7, every phone call is important. If a soldier calls you, if the MPs call you, if somebody calls you, you got to answer the phone and be ready to go. So even on leave or on weekends or on 4-day weekends, whatever, I was always available. And it took me a while to break that habit. When I first retired, I couldn't break it. It was one of those things that I was still always available. You call me at 3 a.m. or text me or whatever, I'm there, I'm on my phone and I'm ready to go. But now I've set my boundaries. Now, come, end of day, as long as all the work is done for that day, if it can wait till Monday or if it can wait till the next day, it's going to wait. I'm sorry. I'm not getting online to do something that can be done tomorrow. If it's not a pressing incident, if it's not something that like I had a deadline for or anything like that, I'm sorry. I'm checking out. I got a wife. I got 5 kids. Other people either got boyfriends, girlfriends, spouses, whatever. They got their own lives. They got their own personal lives. I tell my people all the time, look, Friday afternoons, if the work is done for the week, like make sure your time is in for any projects you're on and then check out. I don't want you here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because we need to start setting those boundaries. And I'm of the mindset that that's how we improve our mental health, is by getting away from technology, by getting away from all of these situations that drown us. And people can say what they want. Some people are empaths, some people aren't, some people can see things as they are, some people just feed off of feelings and emotions, whatever the case may be. If you are surrounding yourself by the news, by negativity, by social media, by work, by everything going on,
For sure,
you are never going to find your center. You are never going to be happy. You are never going to find that state of well-being that makes you truly happy to be alive. And I think that's one of our biggest problems. I truly do.
yeah, for sure. I kind of came from not necessarily a military background, but I was in the oil and gas industry doing inspection in refineries. So I get what you're saying there about like constantly being on call. They call 2-3 o'clock in the morning. This just went down. We need to come. You come check it so we can get back up and going. And I had the bright idea of, oh yeah, no, I'm going to switch over to IT and cybersecurity to get out of that 24/7 call deal. But we all know how incident response goes. But needless to say, it's definitely a lot less stressful doing this, and you do have a lot. I feel like for the most part, I know you have those companies that just don't care, and they do. Currently the one I work for is very, very good about having time for yourself and not spending too much time at work. They get like irritated and are like, dude, what are you doing here? Kind of like, wait, I think me and you had spoke about it. Whenever your boss was like, what are you doing? Stop. And that's the kind of company you want to work for. And I think that's the key thing too, when we're talking about like people and their feelings, their mental health, and how everything's going with the industry, if they have a job, because just because somebody has a job doesn't mean they don't go through the same struggles and have the same issues as somebody who doesn't. And being able to making sure you don't just jump into a job that you don't align with, or you don't feel like is going to have your best interest there as well. Sometimes it's not worth it.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, CW, thanks for joining us. Jack, happy to have you here. Space Tacos, I see you chiming in on the chat. Thanks for being here. Misha, you said something here that really hits home, and it hits home because of how I was raised, how I know a lot of people. I'm 37 years old. My generation and older, how they were raised. It's called grind culture, right? So, and Misha says it. I think there's a big difference on grounding, separating yourself from technology based on generation. We almost need to teach the younger generation, 10 years younger, how to take a break. But here's the thing, right? And call me old, call me whatever you want. But the younger generation doesn't necessarily need to take a break from work. They don't have a problem taking a break from work. They have a problem taking a break from technology. I've got 5 boys. These boys come home from school and I got to yell at them to do their chores and everything else because they immediately want to jump on technology. They want to jump on cell phones. They want to jump on consoles and computers and everything else. And look, I spoil my kids. Don't get it twisted. I know I do. I know I'm part of the problem. But why? Like, it's crazy because during the summer, they don't do that. It's during the school year. So what's causing that? Well, for the same reason that causes us to doom scroll all these social media apps. We can't always get outside. The weather might be shit, or it might be cold, or something might be going on. So you doom scroll social media. And I know almost everybody here in chat right now does it during work. They will doom scroll Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, you name it, they're doom scrolling. And people might get it twisted, but what I mean by that is you are looking for the drama. You're looking for that emotional, that whatever is in your head that I need to feed off of something. You're not looking for the knowledge. If you were looking for knowledge, you'd be researching. You'd actually be actively looking for what you're trying to find, not doom scrolling. And so our kids are playing video games, which video games are a great escape. I'm sorry, I use video games to escape reality. Unlike some people I know, I use TV to escape reality. This is why I watch wrestling and NCIS and anything that is not reality TV or documentary, I'll watch. If it's fantasy, even more so. Give me Harry Potter and the Magicians and everything else all day.
Whoa. What NCIS are we talking about here? Because that makes a difference.
Look, my favorites, and I'm kind of mad because actually my 2 favorites now got canceled. But LA was my favorite after the original cast while Gibbs or Tony and Ziva left the original. And then I liked LA and Hawaii. LA got canceled after 14 seasons. Hawaii, I just found out from my father, is canceled after this season. And I'm really upset because LL Cool J was like bringing in this NCIS elite team. And I was like, yo, money. And then I found out it was canceled. I was like, come on. Like, y'all killing me. I love all 3. I'm not a fan of Sydney. I don't know why.
That
really not a fan. Was never a fan of New Orleans. The cast just never grabbed me. But Hawaii, LA all day were my 2 favorites, and they both got canceled. But I am waiting for the new what do they call it? Miniseries to come out for Tony and Ziva's.
That would be. I forgot about that. That'll be good.
But anyways, I do. You might like the Space Tacos. Look, if we're gonna talk about shows, I've been seeing FBI on Paramount Plus every day that I like go to look for something to watch, and I'm like, I really need to watch this. I think actually I'm going to start with SWAT, but I may eventually go over to FBI. I hear you. But I think so. So here is going to be my goal. My goal is get my kids, and I would recommend this for everybody watching right now. You see, the best way to become creative, to critically think, to think things through, to use more of the logic part of your brain is to get away from something that's forcing you to view what you see. You need to use your imagination. I don't care who's watching this, D&D is the way to go. It forces you to use your imagination, to logically think through your steps, to, yes, it's random number generation, you're rolling die. I get it. Shit happens. But overall, it forces you to make choices based on different actions, cause and effect. And so anybody who's not into D&D, I beg of you to start looking into it, because it will engage something in your mind. It will force you away from technology and make you actually be present in the moment to think through your decisions. And yes, you can use things like backdoors and breaches from Black Hills InfoSec. Great, by the way, not going to lie, if you want to stay cybersecurity minded. But I'm looking for escapes from the work, escapes from what we do on a daily basis. D&D for me, like, I'm just now getting into it, and I wish I would have done it at a younger age. Because to me, like, looking at it and understanding what it is would have been a great escape away from technology and everything else.
And it's got a lot more into it than that. Like, I've never actually played it, but my son really got into getting like the figures and stuff like that, and like doing the painting and all that stuff, because he's like kind of into the artistic type stuff. And then we got into a bunch of other ones, and they have like a card store that, like, once a week they let you go in and they give you all the paint and let you paint it and do stuff like that. So I think like that goes along with like a social interaction too, outside of your normal day-to-day stuff, you know, because that's big. What D&D is a lot of social interaction there.
Yeah. And again, so Josh put up 3E for life. Uh, so there are various editions out there, different rule sets, different campaigns, different things you can do. I'm currently feeding off of 5E, I think it is. I can't remember if it's 5th edition or not. I think it is. But yeah, I mean, all these different things come into play. Read a book, read The Witcher, Harry Potter, Tom Clancy. Like, we have become within cybersecurity so consumed on our day-to-day lives, on so consumed on just making things work, that we forget about the imagination. We forget about creativity. And let's be honest, when you step away from your job, what makes you really good at your job is creativity and logic. So being able to use both sides of the coin. And if you can really be creative of how you do things, really, you know, think of different ways. This is what the hacker mentality is creativity. It is finding innovative and ways to do things that nobody thought of. It is taking a program and looking through the code and being like, you know what? I know its intent wasn't to do this, but I see in here that I can make it do this, so I'm going to make it do it anyways. But you wouldn't be able to do that if you didn't have that creative mindset, if you didn't have that logical mindset, if you didn't have these ways of thinking. And so step away from the drama, step away from things that don't make you think. Paintball, airsoft, go touch grass, for goodness sakes. Again, like, get away from cybersecurity, get away from reality, and go play. Go see nature. Go do something outside of your normal job. And I think that goes a long way to our mental health. It truly does.
Yeah, for sure. And then again, like, you're touching back over to the D&D thing and relating back to work with getting away from work. I mean, you know, social skills are super important, and doing that builds on that as well. You know, it's crazy. I've never, like I said, I've never played, but I've been around, you know, at the game stores and stuff like that. Whenever you see the guys sitting down and playing, and, you know, they're just interacting, having a great time, you know, it seems like it's pretty awesome.
I've done one session so far with my kids, my wife, and my brother, and it was hilarious because my kids, I wanted to murder them because I had this all thought out in my head because I was the DM, I was the dungeon master. Right. I had everything planned out how I thought it was going to go. I'm like, all right, so I know my wife is going to do this. I know all things are going to happen. And then I got my son that decided to just, you know, throw a stick in front of the bike and like make me go over it, because he was like, so I'm a pickpocket Bizzle. Homie, what do you mean? He's in your party. He was like, I don't trust him. So why are you pickpocketing him?
That's hilarious.
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna skip all the houses and everything you planned out. I just want to go to here. Dude, missing out on so much. But it's like, it's fun because I look at these things, and it breaks people out of their shell. One of the hardest parts we have in cybersecurity is we get in our own heads. And we have this inability, again, to your point with the social aspect, this inability to communicate. And so doing these things gives us different ways to talk, and we feel more free, and we're able to break out of that social anxiety. And me personally, look, anybody that knows me, anybody that talks to me, if you've watched this show more than once, you know I don't give a damn. I will talk all day. I can talk for hours. So for me, it doesn't bother me. But there's a caveat to that. I cannot go into crowds and talk. I always isolate myself with 1, 2, 3 people and can have those conversations. I personally cannot talk to a huge crowd in person. Not surrounded. Conferences, different story. I'm giving a speech, whatever. They don't ask questions usually because nobody ever asks questions. And I roll. But when it comes to in person, I don't go to bars anymore. That's one of the main reasons. I don't like being surrounded by people. But I like to talk to people. Catch-22, kind of a little weird thing about me, but it's how I am. I don't want surrounded, but I will talk to people and not care who you are. We'll just have a conversation. So again, it's weird, but that's just how I am. And I'm very social in that way, but I'm very antisocial in that you put me in a crowd and I'm going to look at you and go, I'm going over there. So I get it. Like, I understand it completely. But when it comes to our mental health, how do we combat that? How do we, all right, new question, new topic, new kind of, well, same topic, but different way to word it. In our industry, as you move up the chain, you're going to have to interact with people on a more professional level, which I'm sort of okay at. There's some people in chat that may be able to vouch for it. Sort of okay. You know, when it's recorded and I have to be professional, I can, maintain. But how do we, as we move up the ladder, as we move up the chain, learn the ability to talk to others in a professional way? Because as everybody knows, I like to swear, and I will throw out every swear word, and I don't give a damn what people think about me if you've watched this show. Hell, my parents yell at me on a regular basis about the way I talk on this show.
Yeah.
But how do we curb that? How do we become more professional in the way we speak and be able to deal with those higher levels?
I feel like for the most part, we have a sense of, okay, when can we do this and when can we not, as far as talking, like we kind of know what the setting is going into an environment just from growing up. But there's also those times, you don't know how people react. You don't know what people's mentality, mindset, how they react to things, their sense of humor, all that stuff. And the remote work that's going on now, more remote work. It's harder to gauge that with people. You don't see, you may not have a camera going on, so you don't get that face-to-face interaction, right. So you can't really see that emotional reaction. So it makes it hard. And I think the main thing is almost the only really true way to do it is just by the social interaction that you're talking about. You have to actually practice it and do it, and just having a thinking about what you're going to say and how other people would react to that in the first place before you start. Having that kind of planned out and understanding the consequences of what you're going to say, or the feedback that you could possibly get, I think is how you have to go about it. Now, again, it's hard, and everybody's going to be different because some people just naturally have that ability, and kind of like what you can turn that on and off. Other people can't. Other people can't, and that's something that it does take a bit of having social interaction outside of it, being it put in those different situations so you can adapt, because a lot of it is adapting.
And it's funny because I got lucky. My public school, I went to Carrick High School. You want to look up my history, you can fucking look it up. I don't care. I was in the military. The whole world knows everything about me at this point. I really don't give a damn. But I went to Carrick High School. It was a public school. When I lucked out, we had a business academy. At 15 years old, I want to say I did my first ever business plan presentation in front of a bunch of investors, a bunch of businesses, huge business, Fortune 500, Fortune 1000, whatever. I didn't get it. I didn't win the competition. Why? Now, I could give various reasons why, but their decision was based on I can't start this tomorrow. Funny enough, I had already started it. My business was a website design business. I was already designing websites. I had already designed my own. I was already writing HTML code before most people knew what front page was. I was doing it in Notepad. And so for me, I learned how to talk and articulate my thoughts in such a way that I felt was more professional, because that's how you get through these executives' heads. You can't relay everything how we would normally. Again, I grew up in the inner city. For me, swearing and everything else and being ghetto and talking ebonics or whatever term you want to put on it, my speech was very unprofessional growing up. Not in front of my parents. They would have I would have ate soap and had a lot of other worse things happen if I talked that way in front of them. But, in front of my friends and things like that, very unprofessional, very much not what you would say to somebody. But that's where I learned how to flip that switch, how to change and articulate things in a different manner. And I also think that is what gave me the ability to have charisma. You see, here's the thing. When we're talking business, when we're talking cybersecurity, when we're talking to people, getting your point across, getting heard, and actually being heard. Let's be fair. There's a difference between listening and hearing, or as some people put it, passive and active listening. The ability to actively be heard and listened to requires charisma. If you have no personality, if you're monotone, if you just turn into Charlie Brown's teacher and I hear Matt, I'm sorry, it ain't gonna work. And if we look at this from a mental health aspect, right? Let's kind of bring it back to that. Is I don't care. So now I'm in pointless meetings. I'm in a pointless discussion. I'm talking to somebody who's not engaging me, who doesn't understand how I think. And so Griffin InfoSec,
I was going to point that out. Yeah, exactly.
Perfectly. Know your audience. Me, I'm very energetic. I'm very much outgoing. I'm very much want to talk to people. I want to be engaged. Give me a reason to listen and talk to you. If you don't do that, I've already tuned you out and I'm doing something else. I'm sorry. The job is only so much. I've got, again, wife, 5 kids, house, bills to pay. If you cannot engage me, if what I think you have to say has no precedence, I'm not going to listen. So now it's a pointless meeting that I'm in just to sit there and be like, all right, yeah, I'm fucking here. Okay, cool. I've made a presence known. I'm going to go do something else that is more engaging to my mind. That's going to keep me either entertained or working. One of the two. Really depends. And so mentally, it just takes a toll. So for anybody breaking into the industry, I don't think you're going to have that many meetings that are pointless. Because when you're just breaking in, you're a technician. You're just doing what you need to do, what you're told to do. Hey, go do this, go do that. I don't need you in meetings. You're technical, right? You may have to answer some technical questions on calls, I don't know, once, twice a week, maybe. But otherwise, you're working, which is great for a lot of people. But then you start to move up the ladder. Now you become a senior. Now you become a leader. Now you become a manager. Now you become a director, whatever the case may be. And now it's call after call after call after call. And it is draining. So draining. That could have been an email. Literally. Could have been an email. What do you need to ask? What information do you need? And I know for a fact, because I know who's in chat, that there are people that are feeling this to their soul. It could have been an email. But there's a caveat. When your technicians aren't giving you the information that you need in an email.
Or the emails don't get noticed or responded to, or no action gets taken. That's a big deal, too, why they get pushed to meetings. Oh, nobody's paying attention to these emails. Let's turn them into meetings.
Exactly. And so, listen to your mind. Your body will tell you when you need to give your mind a break. But too often we ignore it. All right. Meetings, technical work, all this stuff, things that I do. And I got a whole talk on it on my channel. So if you're here after, or if you ain't got nothing to do this evening, please feel free to check it out. It is my B-side St. Petersburg talk on burnout and resilience. But Misha points out right here, listen to your mind. Your body will tell you when you need to give your mind a break, but too often we ignore it. Oh, do we ever? I can speak to that personally. I've had team members that's happened to because they've not spoken up about things going on. If you burn yourself out, it does more detriment to you than just being depressed and not wanting to do the job. Heart attacks, strokes, high blood pressure, everything comes along with the job when you burn yourself out. Everything. You name it, it's all there. Burnout is real. When we talk mental health, we were talking about touching grass earlier. That would have saved me a year or two ago from burning out. Suicide's another one. A year or two ago, stepping away, understanding what's going on would have saved me from burnout. I'd probably still be doing tech content instead of just this show, and eventually Walk With Me I do want to get back to. But burnout is real. You can only do so much. When work takes over your life, I'm sorry. You've allowed that to happen. You need to fix it. Choice is on you. Everything we do in life is about choices. Choices we make. We do not prioritize enough our mental health. And not just in this industry, in society. Your mental health comes first.
I think piggybacking off what you just said there too, with some of the newer people, because I can attest to some of this. When you get that first break, you get into your first cybersecurity role, and you're following all the rules. Like, hey, you got to be continually learning. It's easy to get burnt out to do cybersecurity work all day, and then try to continue to learn and grow in the evening. And you feel like, if I take a break, I'm going to fall behind. I'm going to miss out on an opportunity. It's still super important to be like, okay, hey, I'm not going to do this 24/7. It's good to learn, but you have to have that balance.
So one of the things I have told partners, I have told many people, growing up when I wasn't in cybersecurity. So here's going to be the kicker to this all. When you're not in cybersecurity, when you're not in IT, you have to put forth an hour or two a day, probably after work, because let's be honest, if you're not in a remote job and you're on site, it's very hard to do your studying to get that time in. So you have to do it off site. You have to do it at home. So every day, an hour or two, depending on how your mind works, depending on how long it takes you to catch topics, an hour or two of study every night. until you get into the career field you want, because you want to continue to grow. But that means you still need to make sure your kids, yourself, whatever is taken care of, and you're getting your time to sleep.
Exactly.
I took away so much time from my kids and my wife and everything else by trying to break in.
Yep.
Learn that, waited till my kids went to sleep, which means I'm still taking time away from my wife.
And your sleep.
And my sleep. So you have to make that balance, but understand your work day is going to technically turn into, at a minimum, 10 hours a day until you break into the career field. Once you break in, if your job is not willing to give you that time during the day to study and advance yourself, you might want to do some thinking. Because you should have that time. I've had a lot of arguments, well, not arguments, but a lot of conversations with different organizations that are requiring certifications to do work with them. Cool. My people are already burning themselves out. When can I give them time? Dad, I'll wait. You see, when your company is bringing in a lot of work, whether you're in a single organization that got a ton of shit to do, or you're in an MSSP or an MSP that got a ton of shit to do, when are your people supposed to find time? If you don't set that time aside for them, they're always working. So if you're a singular organization that is requiring or asking people to get partner or vendor certifications, give them the time. Because they should not be required to study for those off hours. They're already in the career field and probably using the tech stack. So if they're not using the stack, I don't care.
For sure.
Bring me business, give me a reason. Give me a reason to get them certified. Give me a reason to get them certified on your particular technology, your particular stack. When I've worked for organizations and gotten certified in things like Rapid7 Expos, that's because that's what I was actively working on. I was in it every single day. I knew that software backwards and forwards, so when I went and got the certification, it was easy. But I studied during the workday because I worked on it every day. If you're not going to allow me to work on it every day, that means now I got to take time out of my family time, out of my personal time to do something for you. Give me a reason. Mentally, it's not worth it. It's not. I'm sorry. I don't care who you are, what organization you work for. If you start asking people to do work for you after hours, you better come back. Pay me and pay me well. It better be worth it. Because we're already in this industry and a lot of other industries too. Cybersecurity isn't the only one that's feeling burnout,
sure.
that's feeling struggling, that's feeling like they can't go on. We're not the only one. Don't get it twisted. Surgeons, ER doctors. I know an ER doctor that worked more hours than I will ever work in my life. These people bust their ass day in, day out for organizations and get nothing in return. No thanks, no gratitude. Hell, in our industry, if you get breached, half the time your CISO, your security director, and people like that get fired.
Yeah.
If you're an ER doctor, you need to carry insurance because if your patient happens to pass away, you can get sued or malpractice. Everything comes to a head. And so mentally, every industry, if you are a consumer of that industry, you might want to take a look at yourself, because the mental wear and tear that is taking on people to survive, to get by, to try to grow and learn and be better takes such a toll that people will never understand because they're not there. And I'll say this based on one meme, one quote, one saying, one post that I have seen many times before. If somebody is going to, and again, it's a cybersecurity show, so we're going to relate it to cybersecurity, and or you know what, I'll relate it to computer repair. Somebody charges you, and this is not Geek Squad because they jack up their prices altogether, but let's just say a sole proprietor charges you $100 to fix a computer in 30 minutes. They're like, oh, well, that's too much for, it's only taking you 30 minutes. You're not even charging me $100 an hour. You are not paying for that person time to do the job. You are paying for the efficiency, the learning, the everything that went into them to be able to fix what your problem is in that 30 minutes.
Yep.
If it was able to be done in 30 minutes for you, I guarantee you would have done it yourself. You would have done it. Look, I can sit here and complain all day about the price of tattoo artists and everything else. Again, ink all over me. I love tattoos and I will continue to pay it. And half time, I don't argue about the price. I look at the artwork and what they can do. And if they're fully capable, I will pay whatever price they charge me. Not because of anything else other than they put in the time, the effort, and have the ability to learn it and do it to a degree that I wish I could. But that is not me. I am not an artist. I am a speaker. I am a cybersecurity professional. I am an IT professional. And I'm a father and a husband and a soldier. That's about it. I can never do the artwork that has been put on my body. I wish I could, but not me. So we pay for the time and effort that was put in to learn the craft, to learn the art of hacking, the art of security, the art of whatever it is. That's what you're paying for. You are not paying for the time it takes. Screw the time it takes. If I can get your computer fixed or your security up and running in 10 minutes versus somebody else in 30 minutes, guess what? You're going to be paying me more because I can do it quicker and more efficiently than they can, because I've been in it and done it a lot longer.
Yep.
That is why. Because I can convey my point a lot clearer than other people can. Because I know what I'm doing. And I've been doing it for way too long at this point for people to not care. And mentally, that is draining to see organizations not care. That is what takes a toll on me. When they don't care. So what are they paying for? Side rant, had to do it. Sorry, not sorry. Don't give a fuck. My show, do what I want.
Side rants make for some of the most interesting conversations, man.
But it stands the test of time. People think they pay for quality. No, you're not paying necessarily for the quality. You're paying for the time it took to get to that quality and get to that efficiency.
Yeah.
You're paying a person's salary because they can do the damn job.
Yep.
And they can do it well. They are fully capable. Now, with that being said, one of the biggest mental health breaks we are seeing right now are people getting denied jobs. People getting laid off from jobs. People being fired. All this other stuff going on. So in that same vein, I will tell you this. I hope you're a damn good salesperson, because you need to sell yourself. Sell yourself on paper and sell yourself in person, because that is what's going to get you a job unless somebody recommends you. But even then, don't lie on anything. Your resume, in the interview, anything else. Do not lie. Sell yourself. Sell your capability to learn. Sell your capability to grow. Sell the fact that you are passionate about this career field. Because if what it's going to take to hire you is the right amount of money, well, it's going to take you a lot longer to get a job. Salaries are coming down. They're not what they were a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years ago. They've dropped drastically. So you better be prepared to sell yourself and get that initial break-in. You're probably going to have to take a pay cut. Hate to say it, but it's going to happen. I had to take one.
Same here.
That was years ago. I had to take one. So don't be afraid to take that pay cut. Don't be afraid to have to go in there and be charismatic and sell who you are and speak from the soul, speak from the heart, speak about who you are, what you know, and why you're the best damn person for the job. Because that's what people want to see. I don't care about your certifications. I don't care about your degrees. I don't care about half that shit. I care about who you are as a person and if you are able to learn the job. Because let's be honest, I need you to be able to learn a lot of different technologies. So I got my jobs because people knew I can learn and I can figure shit out. Do the same. Sell yourself. Prove yourself. If you've been on this show, you might want to put that in your resume. You might want to put that out on social media. No, I don't give a damn about the show personally. I care about you presenting yourself in a way that shows you know what you're talking about. You know who you are. You see, my employers know about my show. I tell my employers and my clients about it all the damn time. And they know how I talk. They know who I am. I don't care about me. This isn't for me. This is for you. For your mental health, if you're trying to break in, you might want to quit hiding it. You're passionate and you love what you're trying to do, so do it and show it. Because that's all we have, is our ability to sell ourselves. Devin, you're recently in IT and cybersecurity.
Yes. Yep. Almost coming up on a year at the end of this month.
What was the hardest part about getting into it? Mentally draining.
Just like you said, the getting into it without knowing somebody before. So I put in countless applications out there, and I had a pretty prestigious position outside of the field. I was in a high management position, a lot of experience, but like a lot of people, I'm sure that listen to this podcast, tune into you. You put in 100, 200 applications, even for low level, just entry level MSP, MSSP, whatever it may be, not even just strictly security. You just never hear nothing. You get ghosted. You may hear something. Hell, I got a response back from one I put in the beginning of last year, like 3 months ago. I got a response back that said that they weren't interested. But that's the hardest thing. And that's why I think exactly what Derek's talking about here is putting yourself out there. Networking, communicating, making sure to have that social presence out there in the world amongst all of us is crucial. Because if you get that, what got me my job was having somebody put in a good word for me, having a reference, and that made all the difference in the world. That got me into my first job. My first reference that I had, landed me my first job in the industry. To build on top of that as well, just like what Derek said, when I went into that interview, I didn't know everything. I got asked questions that I didn't know the answer to, and I told them that. I said, they asked me a specific question, and I was like, I've heard of it, but I can't tell you directly how it relates or what it does or anything like that. And I was just brutally honest, and they appreciated that. Did not hold it against me whatsoever. If they hold something like that against you, unless you just completely don't know anything about the field and can't answer a single question and really don't know anything, depending on the circumstances. I mean, that's completely different. But if you go in and say, hey, yeah, I've got a general idea here, but I really don't know, it's not something I'm familiar with, they shouldn't hold that against you in an interview as long as you're willing to learn.
The only time I would hold that against somebody is if they said they know it on their resume.
Exactly.
That's the only time. If you put on your resume you know something, you better be able to speak to it. And now, saying that, I have at times, because I already knew I was getting hired, but still had to talk to other people in the company, put things on my resume that I was either certified in or I had worked with in the past, this, that, the third. And been blatant with them. Like, look, I got certified in it, and or, you know, I researched this a year, 2 years ago. It's on here because I know when I look at it again, I'll remember it. But right now, I can't speak to it. I don't know what changes have occurred within that area. So it's all on how you present it. I got a I think it's expired or expiring. I had reverse engineering malware. At the time, when I put that on my resume, yeah, I had it. And could I do it? Damn straight. Not to the extent that other people could, but I could still do it. But now, no.
Yeah.
People are like, can you do it? Nope. Now, can I read assembly? Kind of, sort of. Can I go through a disassembler like, I don't know, Ghidra or something else? Yeah, I can work my way through it and figure out what's going on. But I'm also able to recall things.
Sure.
So I can sit there and look at it and be like, I can pick this back up. I got all the books still on my bookshelf. I can literally go through them bitches. I'm like, all right. So I got to reverse it. What is this, Java? All right, let me figure this out real quick. Right here. All right, cool. We're good to go. But people will put things on their resume that they've never done, that they've never been certified in, that they've never studied, that they've never worked through. I will never do that. And you should never do that. Nobody watching this show should ever do that. If you have never played with PowerShell, don't put PowerShell on your resume. Please don't. If you've never reverse engineered anything, don't put reverse engineering on your resume. If you've never been in Linux, do not put Linux on your damn resume.
Yep.
These are the things. You want to fix your mental health? You want to fix the fact that you're not getting jobs? Present yourself as you are. If you can learn it, and if you've done it, then okay. Again, there's that and in there, not an or. And if you can learn it more fluently and you've already started, okay. There's no or there. Without that or, don't put it on there. Don't fucking put it on there. Because I don't want to ask you questions about Nmap and some of the switches and what is a service switch, right? I want to discover all services and do a service scan. If you can't tell me what switch that is, don't tell me you know Nmap. If you can't tell me how to designate what ports you're scanning, don't put Nmap, because that's one of the easiest ones. Honestly, if I ask you a question because you put on your resume, you know Nmap, okay, tell me what switch will designate what ports to scan. And if you can't fucking tell me, then you don't know Nmap, because that is the easiest one out there. By far. Dash P in the ports you want.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a security plus and I ask you what port 443 is and you can't tell me, we've got a problem. And yes, when you bring to me as a junior the most basics of certifications, I'm going to ask you the most basics of questions. So you want to talk about mental health because you've been denied jobs. If you can't answer the most basic of questions in security, that is why. Because you've outright stated you should know this. The problem is not you not knowing, it is stating that you know it and then not knowing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. Sell me on your personality. Sell me on your ability to talk. Sell me on your ability to learn. But if you're going
Problem
to do
solving
that, you put
skills.
things on your resume, I'm going to question you. And if I find out you lied, or if I find out you are book smart, not technically smart, and there's a difference because I've worked for people that had all the certifications under the sun, but they didn't know shit about how to actually use the technology. Works for them. Yeah, sucks. Bad, but I've done it. I will question you all day. One of the best interviews I had was asking me what happens from the time you hit a power button to the time you get to google.com. And it is because in that scenario, they dug deep. If you stated something, they would question you on it. It was a security job. Had absolutely nothing to do with how a computer ran. But they wanted to see when you would stop and say, I don't know.
Yeah.
When you can admittedly say, beyond me, I've never researched it. I don't know. And I had to do that. I had to outright say, when it got to a point, I did not know. One of the best interviews I ever had. Hated it because my guy kept digging deeper and deeper. Every time I mentioned something, this man was like, oh, all right, cool. So let's ask you about this now. Shit. I don't know how much further I can go with this. I'm running out of answers. And I even stated several times in the interview, look, I'd love to give you an answer, but either A, I don't know, I've never researched it, out of my wheelhouse, or B, it's been so long since I looked at it because it truly had. So, for instance, the BIOS, I knew how it worked, but then he got into TPM and he got into everything else. I was like, oh, we're going a little too deep for me now. I don't know. I don't fucking know. Good luck. If I don't get this job, then cool. Makes sense, I guess. I don't know what it has to do with the job, but it was testing your limits and trying to figure out when you don't, when you're not afraid to say I don't know. And in this industry, you can't be afraid to say that. It will destroy your mental health. It will absolutely destroy it because you're going to say you know everything. You're going to be asked to do it, and then you're going to spend 18 hours researching how to do it.
Yep. What if you said you didn't know? There might be somebody in the company that could have taught you in 4.
Exactly. So saying that, look, we got about 2 minutes left to the top of the hour. Devin, I'm going to let you go on a rant for a little while. You feel free to talk about mental health. I'll come back in my final sayings, and then we'll check out for the weekend.
Sounds good. Well, I think the biggest thing, like just to piggyback off what he was saying there with interviews, kind of some of the stuff that I've run into is just be honest. Be honest on your resume. Again, going back to that, try to show a big thing. I see a lot of stuff happen in interviews. There is the critical thinking, being able to think critically. So focus on any of those questions they have there, and then just try to go into it with a positive mindset. I know it's right now, like I said, I put in a couple hundred applications at least probably before I landed my first job, or the job I'm currently in, because it's the only one I've had. But I get it. It's easy to get discouraged. So just try to be positive, continue to put in those applications, continue to learn, continue to network, focus on yourself, get outside, touch some grass, just as Derek was talking about there, and get away for a little bit. Don't stress too bad. There's a lot of people going through the same things right now, and just being able to talk about it's a big thing. So Derek's always here. He's always going to be here to listen and give you the best advice that he knows how to give. So,
and that's really what it comes down to, right? When we look at advice, when we look at our mental health, we rely so much on ourselves, and yeah, it plays a big role. Being able to be happy, being able to be yourself, being able to understand and think things through is very vital, but sometimes you got to lean on others. And earlier this week, I put out a post on LinkedIn. Now I've gotten away from a lot of other social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Like, I'll watch it, I'll scroll through it, I'll do my normal doom scrolling like most people do. But I haven't been posting. I've been posting Twitter, everything, post mainly on LinkedIn. One of the big things I talked about was just, kind of knowing yourself and being able to forge your own path, with the caveat being, don't be afraid to ask for help. You see, sometimes you need somebody that has that axe, that sword, that whatever, to help break down the brush and bramble. At the end of the day, the path is yours and yours alone. And it will always be yours alone. You see, if you try to walk somebody else's path, if you try to do the exact same things they did, you're going to fail. Because you're going to hit an obstacle that they knew how to overcome, but you do not. And you're not asking for help. You're expecting it to just work. I'm following in their footsteps. I should know. I can get over this wall. But you see, the way they got over the wall, the way they climbed the wall, the way they went around the wall, you can't do. For some reason, you're incapable. Whereas when you forge your own path, when you make things happen for you, that all turns out differently now. Because now you've been willing to ask for help. Now you've been willing to go above and beyond. Now you've been willing to overcome all obstacles. And we're all going to face obstacles. I don't give a damn who you are. You're going to have hardships. You're going to have obstacles. You're going to have people telling you can't. You're going to have people telling you you don't belong. You're going to have people telling you go away. You're going to have people telling you don't deserve a raise. You're going to have people telling you you can't get promoted. Whatever the case may be, it's all an obstacle. And you have to adapt and overcome. You have to fight through it. You have to keep going. And if you need someone to assist you, well, that's what my warriors are for. That's what I am for. We will assist you, but I will not walk that path for you. I will not make that path for you, because then it is not your own. You have not done it. You have not made it. Make your path. Choose your path. And if you have to bring an axe, if you have to bring shears, if you have to bring a sword, if you have to bring whatever it is to conquer every obstacle in your way, then do it. While at the same time, don't be afraid to enjoy the scenery as you go. Because sometimes you need to take a break, take a rest, enjoy your food, have a glass of ale, whatever the case may be, and just enjoy the time. But get your ass back up and keep on pushing. Take your PTO, take your time off, do what you need to do. In this industry, we have a lot of PTO. A lot of companies are coming out with unlimited PTO. There's been some talks about going on to a 4-day work week for companies and making it mandatory. I don't see that ever happening, but hey, far be it for me to decide how things work. All I'm telling you is you be you, you do you, forge your own path, touch some damn grass, and get away from technology. That is the most vital information I can ever give you. Otherwise, look, I love you all. You're all my warriors. You're all my family. Devin, thanks again. And thanks for always being backstage now. I love you for that. You take care. I'll see all you amazing warriors next week with another amazing episode of Security Happy Hour.